Hey everyone, this is the Philbrook Football Podcast. I'm joined by Isaiah. I'm Cameron, and we're going to be going over some of the Week 5 scores and projections into Week 6 this week.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, so our last podcast went a little long, so we're going to try to keep it a little shorter this time for your guys' sake and for Isaiah's editing sake. So
Yeah, I don't have time to listen to the full 2 hours in one sitting. The first one, I fell asleep halfway through because I was exhausted that week, and it just took forever to edit. So
yeah, I'm sure we talked forever.
Yeah.
We just kind of had no idea what we were doing. So hopefully we're going to refine it this week, and hopefully it turns out better for you guys. So let's just jump into some of the scores from last week. So we'll start with the Thursday night game. Patriots 19 against the Buccaneers at 14. So what's the Pats' record now?
well, the Pats now. Hold
I think
on.
they're sitting at.
The Pats now are 3-2. And at this point, I mean, you have the Pats at 3-2, and then the Bucks at 2-2. We'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, Tom Brady pretty much has to carry this team. The defense has not been looking very good so far. Looked okay against the Bucks in this game, but it's a short week, so it's really hard to gauge the potential of any other of a team and what they should be doing.
Right.
So let's see. The Seahawks against the Rams. The Seahawks win 16-10. I think that moves both teams to 3-2, right?
Yeah, both teams are now 3-2. That's correct.
So Seattle's still atop the division because they've won
Right.
both their division games. Seahawks defense looked great against a Rams offense that had been off the charts this year. So
Yeah.
that's a good sign for the Seattle defense that they were able to keep an offense like that from scoring too much.
For sure, Earl Thomas he went nuts.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. Let's see, Bills and Bengals. The Bengals win 20 against the Bills 16. I don't know what their records are.
I don't know what they are either. I believe the Bills are 3-2.
Yep, Bills are 3-2, and the Bengals, I believe now are 2 and.
I think they're 2-3.
Yep, 2-3.
Yeah.
Jets against the Browns. The Jets win 17-14 on a late field goal.
Yeah, Jets are a surprising 3-2 now in the whole tie for the division there, and the Browns are 0-5 because that's what they do.
Yeah, I mean the Jets are 3-2, but I mean they don't really pose a threat within the division.
Right.
They're better than everybody thought they would be, which is great.
Josh McCown, man.
Yeah,
He's really working it there.
Yeah.
Jersey.
Jermaine Kearse. It's like it's like Redemption City right now, man. They got Josh McCown, Jermaine Kearse, and Austin Seferian-Jenkins.
Yeah.
Like, all these dudes who like underperformed or have just like everybody thought they were going to wash out, and now they're coming together and playing pretty well. Panthers and Lions, that was a good game. Panthers win 27-24, and I believe
Yeah, Panthers are now 4-1, which I didn't really expect at this point, and the Lions are 3-2.
Colts and 49ers. The Colts win in overtime 26-23.
Yeah, Colts move to 2-3. Niners move to 0-5.
Yep, not looking so good for the Niners, but I guess nobody really expected them to be all that competitive this year.
No.
The first year of their rebuild. Titans and Dolphins. Dolphins win 16-10 against the Titans.
Yeah, that garbage game ended up with the Dolphins now 2-2, and the Titans are 2-3.
Yeah, the Titans get Mariota back this week, so that should be that division should be interesting.
Yeah.
Chargers and Giants. Chargers win 27-22. No surprise there. The Giants are awful.
Yeah, Giants are really bad. They're 0-5 now, and the Chargers got their first win that they have been desperately seeking this whole year.
Yeah, not looking good for the Giants. They lost their top two receivers, as well as Orleans Darkwa, who was looking pretty good for the first half of that game.
Yeah, that was he was the only running game they've had all year, and now he's injured.
Yep. So then we had the beatdown. Cardinals and Eagles. Eagles score 34, and the Cardinals score 7, and they would have been shut out in this game if they hadn't scored a touchdown in the final couple of minutes of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean they scored. Yeah, the Cardinals were just bad altogether in that game, and more importantly, the Eagles they just controlled the whole game. So now the Eagles moved up to 4-1, and the Cardinals sit at 2-3.
Jaguars and Steelers, another beatdown. The Jaguars score 30 to the Steelers 9 points.
Yeah, and the Jaguars really weren't beating down on them until they got 2 pick sixes in a row, and then the escalation of interceptions from Roethlisberger to 5 interceptions.
Oh yeah,
I mean you got a guy like Le'Veon Bell, and you're going against a team that's terrible against the run, and you give him like less than 20 carries.
Oh yeah, I mean they should be feeding him the ball, and I think they probably will moving forward, only because Roethlisberger has shown to be inconsistent this year.
Yeah, no doubt. I guess I should say the Steelers are now 3-2, still atop their division, and the Jaguars are also 3-2.
And atop their division.
Yes, on top of their division.
Ravens and Raiders. The Ravens score 30 to the Raiders 17. And not much to say. The Raiders are not looking good without Derek Carr. EJ Manuel played decently, but he is definitely not the same caliber of quarterback. That's for sure.
No, Ravens finally had a decent day offensively, albeit against a kind of a bad defense. So Ravens move up to 3-2, and the Raiders move down to 2-3. But they are expecting Derek Carr to play this weekend, so we'll see how they are moving forward.
Packers and Cowboys. Packers come back to win it 35-31 in a game that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that game first half was kind of like, okay, the Cowboys are, they're
getting their revenge.
Yeah, it was 21-7 I think at the end of the half, and then Aaron Rodgers did what he does and just let him back. So Packers move up to 4-1, and Cowboys are on bye week, so I don't.
The Cowboys are sitting at 2-3 right now, 2 games behind Philadelphia. Then the Chiefs against the Texans. Chiefs score 42, and the Texans score 34 in a game that was more similar to a college football game than it was a NFL game.
Yeah, that game it went nuts in the second half. Just teams going all over the place. Deshaun Watson throwing 5 touchdowns. I mean, it was an insane game. But the Chiefs did still come out on top because Kareem Hunt he got his 100 yards in the second half, and
5th straight.
Yeah, I mean that guy's a monster. And
Spencer Ware going down was probably the best thing that could have happened.
No
for
kidding.
The Chiefs.
So Chiefs move up to 5-0, the only undefeated team left in the league, and the Texans move to 2-3.
And then finally, the Vikings against the Bears. The Vikings win 20-17, and they lose Bradford again in the process. And possibly Stephon Diggs. I guess we'll see throughout the week what the injury update looks like on that. But it sounds like his groin injury could be pretty bad. Yeah,
I've kind of been hearing the opposite, just because he was able to finish the game out. So I don't know what the extent of that injury is going to be. I don't know if Bradford's going to be out like a long time. I'm not sure what the whole injury situation is. I don't think either injury is super serious, but we'll see what happens and what comes out from here. But the Vikings move to 3-2, and the Bears move to 1-4.
Yeah, I think the Vikings really only played Bradford because it was a divisional game. He did not look 100% in that game, and he probably shouldn't have been out there considering how Case Keenum has been playing well in that spot starter role for now. But I I think that they got a little bit desperate just because they were going against a team in their division and really wanted the best chance to win. And of course, Bradford is going to give them the best chance to win on a healthy day. But I don't think he was. I don't think he was ready to come back yet. I think he needed another week at least.
Yeah, I agree. It was a little too early, and when you have Case Keenum playing pretty well, you don't need to rush him back, especially a game against the Bears. Like, you're going against the Chicago Bears, you don't need to rush him back. Like, Bears put up a good fight. You know, Trubisky looked pretty good for his first NFL game after only playing a season, you know, in college. Like, it's pretty good.
Yep, he'll be all right. I kind of feel like he's gonna be another Ryan Tannehill, where he's got a lot of raw talent, but just limited experience starting games at quarterback at the collegiate level.
Right.
Is going to draw out his development, just like Tannehill. He's shown improvement over every year that he's played in the league, and has shown a lot of flashes of raw talent, but he hasn't really lived up to the pick that they used for him.
Right.
And his high draft status. He hasn't lived up to that quite yet. I think, honestly, I thought this was not going to necessarily be a breakout year for Tannehill, but maybe a year where he showed really what he could do.
Like a prove-it year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, it's really too early to say, I guess, but that's just kind of the feeling I have about Trubisky, is he's going to be, like, just good enough to keep a starting job with the Bears, but not good enough to get them in contention for anything.
Right.
You know, I like I said, it's only been 1 week. We can't really...
It's all speculation.
It's all speculation. That's just kind of the feeling I have right now. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully, we see some development from him throughout the rest of the year. And, I mean, they put up a good fight against a solid Vikings team.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that, and I was telling you about this earlier with Trubisky, is he has to learn how to pass from the pocket.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those design plays were for him to roll out. It was a lot of just getting him to move and be mobile, because that's what he can do. But he needs to be able to pass from the pocket, because that's just how it goes in the NFL. I mean, he doesn't have the excuse that like Russell Wilson has, or, you know, even like Drew Brees is short, but he still gets it done from the pocket, you know? Right. So he, with his height and his athletic ability, he needs to be able to pass from the pocket. So
agreed.
Something he needs to work on.
Yeah, I think ultimately having Trubisky in over Mike Glennon is going to help the Bears' running game in the long run, because of his athleticism and better arm talent. I mean, they made a point to try to throw the ball this game, which is something they haven't really done in the past with Glennon because of his limited ability. Yeah. So that should hopefully open the door for some more solid games from Jordan Howard, and as well as getting Tariq Cohen going, both of which have been fantasy studs up until this point. I mean, they had both been doing pretty well. Yeah,
Cohen I wouldn't really call a stud necessarily. He had that one really big game. Other than that, he's been just kind of consistent flex numbers.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I mean. Is you can plug him into your flex and feel pretty confident about it pretty much any day out of the week.
Yeah, it's really just the limited amount of snaps that he gets that limit his ability to... I mean, in PPR, he has that value of just he's their pass-catching back. So on a team that doesn't have a lot of receiving threats, he should have usage, but just the lack of snaps is what worries me week in and week out with him.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's definitely more of a PPR kind of back than standard scoring. You, of course, if you wanted one of them for standard, you would pick Jordan Howard. I mean, I'd probably pick Jordan Howard for either if I had to, of course. But Cohen closes the gap in PPR only because of his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield much better than Jordan Howard. At least they try to get him the ball out of the backfield. So, I mean, and they unfortunately weren't able to put up very much against a solid Vikings team, but they've made an effort all year to run the ball. So
yeah, and that should continue. But speaking of, so just to clarify, we want to be able to talk about, like we said in our first podcast, we want to talk about both the scores and everything, but also bring in the fantasy football aspect as well, because a lot of people that pay attention to more than one team typically play fantasy football. So we want to be able to talk about that and bring in some of that content for you guys. So just on the topic of backs and PPR backs specifically, Buck Allen for the Ravens is a really tricky play week in and week out because he is their designated pass catching back, and he'll get anywhere from 7 carries to 20 plus carries. You don't know. It's Alex Collins for a couple weeks seemed to be their running back, and Buck Allen was their pass catcher. And then there's been like 2 weeks where Buck Allen gets all of the work, and you're like, I don't know what to do with him because it's so inconsistent.
It's hard to say. If it was me, I would stay away from the Ravens backfield only because I feel like they're just riding the hot hand at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of going with the game flow. I mean, I'm looking at Allen's game log right now. In week 1 and in week 5, he had 21 carries, which bodes really well for an owner. You want to see your guy get 15 plus carries. That's good to see. But the other 3 weeks, he had 14 carries, 8 carries, and then week 4, he only had 2 carries.
Right.
That being said, he has had at least 4 receptions in all of his games, which is good for a PPR owner. But the Ravens backfield is one that I would like to stay away from just because there's no clear-cut number one guy. They have Terrence West and Alex Collins to kind of run between the trenches, but they're doing that same thing with Javorius Allen, so it's really hard to tell who's going to be the guy in week in and week out, especially on an inconsistent offense like the Ravens.
Yeah, it's Ravens offense in general. I mean, if you're going to get anyone, you really only want Buck Allen and Jeremy Maclin, I guess. Anyone else, and even then, Maclin's more of a bench guy. Fill him in for your bye weeks. Don't really start him other than that.
Yeah, I mean, Benjamin Watson has been a pretty good starter for the tight end spot. He hasn't been great, but for somebody who's looking to fill in a tight end position, he's done all right, and he would be all right on pretty much any fantasy team, especially if you're desperate for a starter. He would be a good one considering he doesn't really have any competition for his starting job right now.
Yeah,
I think they lost all of their tight ends to the plague or something over the offseason. I don't know exactly what happened.
Yeah, Dennis Pitta just decided a couple of years ago that he's going to stay injured forever. And anytime that it says he's healthy, don't believe it because he will continue to be injured.
Yes.
No matter what.
He is perpetually injured. And it's it's kind of crazy. We're talking about running backs. It's kind of crazy to me how scarce running backs are and have been this year. It feels like that every year, I guess. But there have been a lot of backs who have underperformed this year, even guys that we thought were going to be pretty great. I mean, everybody was... A guy like Marshawn Lynch, for example, he was expected to... I don't know if it was just Marshawn Lynch hype or like everybody was... just seemed to be thinking that he was going to be, a running back 1 all year and going to put up insane numbers because he was running behind the offensive line for Oakland, which is way better than anything Seattle ever put together for him. So
I think that a lot of it was the hype, And I didn't see a lot of people saying he was going to put up running back 1 numbers the whole year. I saw a lot of running back 2. But he's even had a hard time putting up running back 2 numbers. I mean, it's like his best week was this last week with Derek Carr out. I mean, he put up 11 points. And like, that's the most you've gotten from Marshawn Lynch the whole year. I mean, that's not good. That's not good. And for a guy that had such a high pick invested in him, you'd see Marshawn Lynch picked anywhere between the 3rd and 4th round typically. I mean, that's just...
I was seeing him go in the 2nd in most of the mocks that I was doing. It was crazy. I watched him go in the
crazy.
2nd and 3rd round multiple times.
In a 12-man league, I could see that. 10-man, I didn't see that in 10-man, but... Nonetheless, he was picked high and he has underperformed drastically. And I think a lot of that just comes from, like, he was retired. Like, he wasn't, like, playing football. He took a whole year off and then the Raiders were like, hey, we want you to come play for us. So he suited up and he's doing what he can. But, like, I mean, that whole Raiders offense in general hasn't meshed. The only person that's done anything is Crabtree. Cooper's been terrible. He's been dropping balls like crazy. That's been his plague since, like, college. Is just, like, he just drops balls all the time.
Yeah,
it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I really feel like Marshawn Lynch came back mostly because he wanted to play for his hometown team before they left. The Raiders will be moving to Las Vegas soon.
Right.
I think he wanted to have a chance to play for the team that he grew up watching, that he that was his hometown. That's where he's from. Of course, he wants to play for the team that he watched his whole life, and I can't blame him for that. I think he probably should have just stayed retired. To be honest, I'm sure he wanted to. I'm sure because the Raiders were so talented that he hoped maybe he could get another ring.
Yeah,
because of what they were able to do last year, but I don't know if the Raiders are going to be able to contend for a ring this year, especially in their division where the Chiefs are rolling, man. They're like unstoppable. I can't see them losing that division this year. Obviously, the Chargers aren't really going to contend for that division, and the Broncos and Raiders are really the only teams that can give the Chiefs a run for their money, but I don't think either of them compare to Kansas City and what they've done this year. They've just been unstoppable.
Yeah, the Raiders definitely are going to need for that offense to gel with more than just Crabtree for them to do anything. Because, yeah, like you said, I mean, just the Chiefs are just... They're killing the NFL right now. And it's only been 5 weeks, so... Like, okay, like, we've seen this before with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Like, we have seen this before. So, we saw it with the Falcons a couple years ago. They went 6-0 to start the season and then finished... What was it? They finished... What did they finish? It was like 8-8, I think.
That was like 9-7.
I think it was 8-8.
What year are you thinking of?
I think 2015. When they beat Carolina at like the end of the year to spoil their season. Either way, we've seen this before with teams where they'll go on a hot streak to start the year and then they kind of falter. So the Chiefs, I feel good about. Alex Smith is playing with confidence for the first time in his life. He's making throws. Like, you see him winding up to throw the ball deep, and I think a lot of that comes from his confidence in the fact that Tyreek Hill is super fast, so he has to throw it really far for Tyreek Hill to get it. And then Travis Kelce is, I mean, say what you will about his personality, okay? But that dude is a monster on the field. I mean, that guy is just, he's insane. And, you'll have weeks where he doesn't really put up any points because he was used as a distraction and the teams will just like super hone in on him. But because of the emergence of Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt, they have to account for more than just Travis Kelce now. And that really opens the door for him.
Yeah. I think we can really thank Andy Reid for making this team what it is.
Yeah.
He's really built this team to exactly what he wants it to be. He wants to have a dynamic offense that allows him to move up and down the field at ease. And he's got so many plays. I mean, all I can think of is... all I can hear in my head is John Gruden talking about Andy Reid's got this play sheet with all sorts of plays for all sorts of situations. But I mean, it's true. I mean, he's got a backup plan, a contingency plan for everything.
Yeah,
and
he's a great coach.
Yeah, he's prepared this team really well this year, and they've done a really good job of executing the game plan they've been trying to implement since Alex Smith came in.
Yeah, it's that, and just that play calling in general just kind of keeps everyone on their toes all the time, and it's kind of this like option offense. It's kind of like a college offense almost, where it's just like you never know who's gonna get the ball. It's just like people are moving all over the place every time, and it's pretty cool to watch. The Chiefs are a fun team to watch.
Oh yeah, they're I love watching their games. Yeah. Their games are really great. They try to get all of their players involved in different ways. I mean, even DeAnthony Thomas had a touchdown against the Texans. Just, it just shows like even a guy that far down on the depth chart has a chance to score and make a play. Make a play because Andy Reid's offense has that option.
Yep,
it's great. They're a really fun team to watch. I'm so excited to watch them the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to see as far as the AFC goes. I wanted to talk a little bit about the situation with the Cardinals because as far as fantasy goes, they just acquired Adrian Peterson for next to nothing almost from the Saints. Who
wasn't it like a conditional pick?
It was a conditional 6th round pick. So I mean, that's not really, you're not losing that much at that point.
Did it say what the conditions of the pick were? I'm sure he has to hit some kind of milestone markers, or
I didn't read into it much. I just saw it as a conditional 6th rounder, but I mean, all in all, it's a conditional 6th rounder for Adrian Peterson, who didn't do anything in New Orleans, but a lot of that came from pretty much zero usage and super inconsistent usage. So a lot of people will knock that he did get carries but didn't do anything with them. And
well, it's because the type of runner that Adrian Peterson is, you have to feed him the football to get him going. You can't just like send him in, run him out of the shotgun, 8 times a game and hope that he does something spectacular with it. No, he's the type of runner that he is. You have to give him the opportunity to have 20 carries a game and really wear down a defense.
Yeah, and he'll see what he wants to see. Like he'll take a carry, see something from the defense, and then say, okay, my next carry, I'm going to do this. And he needs to figure out his own flow to the game. And if you give him one carry and then don't give him another carry for another 4 minutes, give him another carry, he's not going to be able to figure that out. He just comes in and runs straight ahead to figure out what the defense is doing. Then you take him out and you put in Mark Ingram, who doesn't really do anything either, but he can catch some passes, so let's leave him in. And then you bring in Alvin Kamara, who's truly the best running back on that team at this point. Like,
sure.
You're never going to have anything for Adrian Peterson there. So now he goes to a Cardinals team that was super run heavy when David Johnson was healthy.
They're desperate for any sort of real running game.
Yeah, because you can't rely on Carson Palmer at this point to carry your team at the age that he is, with the weapons that he kind of has. I mean,
well, he has good weapons, and it's just that he is his own talent has dropped off so much within the last year. He just can't capitalize on it very often. Plus, teams aren't stacking the box against the Cardinals. They weren't afraid of Chris Johnson or Kerwin Williams or Andre Ellington. None of those guys inspires fear in their enemies.
At least not anymore.
No, and so teams are dropping back in coverage, and forcing Palmer to throw, which, I mean, at this point, he's like a worse Phillip Rivers. He throws the interceptions that Rivers does, but without the arm talent. And this signing bodes well for the Cardinals as a team and for their fantasy purposes. If Adrian Peterson can be somewhat of a semblance of what he used to be, it'll be good for them. It'll open up the running game, force defenses to respect that, and hopefully open the door for some longer passes to John Brown, J.J. Nelson, who have both been great speedsters for the team, and hopefully underneath for Larry Fitzgerald. At least I hope that bodes well for Larry Fitzgerald. I would love to see him come back and start dominating again, but they need a balanced offense to allow him to do that.
Right.
Because he doesn't have the speed to get separation against double coverage anymore. He just doesn't.
And he never really was a speedster, you know. He was just like this beast of a receiver, you know, who had good speed and good everything.
Well, it's just that his agility isn't the same as what it was. You know, he can't make ridiculous moves anymore or jump for ridiculous catches anymore. He's 34 years old, man. He's still a great possession receiver and
a great athlete.
And he's still a great athlete, and he's great at creating separation with his route running. He just doesn't have the speed to compete against double coverage anymore. If he's double covered, you have to look elsewhere because they're going to be able to cover him with younger, more athletic dudes.
Yeah, that's how the game goes, man. Like you start aging and you know that kind of stuff happens. I mean, and that's something that the Cardinals, they got kind of lucky with Kurt Warner because Kurt Warner's a Hall of Famer, and you know he came in and had a couple really good years for the Cardinals at the end of his career, and they would love to get that out of Carson Palmer, but it's just that's not your year with Carson Palmer was 2015.
Yep,
and you didn't make it to the Super Bowl, so they have to look for a quarterback in this draft if they want any sustained success, because Carson Palmer and even Larry Fitzgerald, I don't see playing more than one more year, if they don't retire after this year.
I think this is Carson Palmer's last year, to be honest. I don't know if Larry Fitzgerald will retire quite yet, although there is a very real possibility that he could. I mean, he is 34 years old.
Yeah.
And that's the point in the NFL when, I mean, your body just can't handle the abuse anymore.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. You're not regenerating as fast. You're not able to take hits as well and play through injury as well. I don't know, man. It'll be sad to see him go, but I definitely think that there's a very real possibility this could be his last year. But yeah, just to reiterate your point, I'm sure that the front office already knows they need to invest in a quarterback, and that after this year, it's rebuild time. At least on offense, they need to figure out who their quarterback is going to be, and they need to build an offensive line that's going to be able to protect that quarterback. They have the playmakers. They have the skill position players they're pretty good on. I mean, even if Fitzgerald retires, John Brown and J.J. Nelson and Jaron Brown even are all pretty talented receivers. I mean, they're not world beaters by any means, but they're definitely they have playmaking ability. That's completely obvious. I really thought that going into this year, I thought the Cardinals were going to take Patrick Mahomes, to be honest. I thought that would have been a great pick for them. Of course, the Chiefs ended up trading up to get him, but they need a guy who can be a gunslinger, like what they're trying to do with Carson Palmer, but he just isn't good anymore. It's kind of sad. I almost miss the years when just a couple years ago when the Niners and the
Oh man.
The Cardinals were all competing with Seattle, and even
2012, 2013 were some great years for the NFC West.
oh yeah, even the Rams were going like 7-9, or I mean they'd win a few games, but they'd always play competitively
Yep.
against Seattle. It was that division was the best in football, and now it's looking like one of the weakest possibly.
Yeah.
So
And that's just, I guess that's just how it goes. But yeah, I miss those years too. It kind of sucks being like, okay, being Seattle fans. We were like, okay, here they go playing the Niners, the Brian Hoyer led Niners.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I miss when they were actually good, but
it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Let's some other stuff happening around the league right now.
well, as far as anything else going on, there's not a lot of huge news other than the Giants just suspended Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie for I don't remember how many games. That's the Giants are kind of falling apart. So that's
Oh yeah, McAdoo has lost that locker room completely.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
They did not go into this season thinking they were going to be 0-5.
Nobody did.
Yeah.
Like nobody thought that they were going to be. I mean that division in general has completely flipped. It went from the Eagles being 6-10 or whatever they were last year to now they're the leaders in 4-1. The Cowboys are 2-3. The Redskins are, I think, what are they? 2-2. Like, it just completely flipped. And the Giants are just terrible now. That defense has underperformed. And more importantly, that offense has been hot garbage. So we'll see what ends up happening the rest of the year, but without Odell Beckham Jr. now and without Brandon Marshall, that offense isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I would, as far as fantasy goes, I would stay away from any Giants offensive player.
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard is good but only when he has, we've never seen him play without Odell Beckham, and I would be hesitant to throw him into a starting spot without Odell Beckham or Brandon Marshall, he's, starting to age too. He's showing signs of that and showing signs of slowing down.
Yep.
But, I mean, he's still a respectable receiver. You still have to respect what he's done in this league and what he can do, the playmaking ability that he has. So, Sterling Shepard is... I just do not trust anybody on that offense right now. That's defenses are going to lock in on any playmaker that they have left, and I mean, unless Roger Lewis or Tavares King can really somehow blow it up, I don't see them playing all that great.
Well, I know that Terrell Owens and Chad Johnson are they're available. So
I don't think they're available. I actually think right now they're playing in a flag football league, and they're pretty committed to that.
yeah, but they did say like I think they tweeted him or something, and they're like, hey, call us up if you need us.
God.
And that's what they do every time any team needs a receiver, and they never do because they're like, you guys are in your 40s.
They're just trolling them now.
Yeah.
Dude. They're just trolling the league. I bet they think it's hilarious to do it because of their personalities in the media. They know that it's just gonna get them attention, and they know all they have to do is send out a tweet saying "sign me, fam" or whatever, some stupid crap, and then people are gonna go, "Oh, can you imagine Ocho Cinco and Terrell Owens on the same team?" Yeah, like maybe 15 years ago, sure, that sounds great, but like, Jesus Christ, like...
And then somewhere in the distance, Shannon Sharp will be like, Skip! Chad Johnson's gonna fix that team! And then he'll be like, no, I don't believe it. I'm Skip Bayless. I really think that, I think you're full of beans, Shannon Shannon
If
Sharp.
Terrell Owens comes back to the Cowboys, Skip.
Yeah.
He ain't coming back to the boys.
Listen, the only way he would be good is if he came to my Cowboys. Book it! And then he would be slamming his pencil on the table every syllable. And
can you imagine what Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless's audio lines look like?
well, they have much better recording equipment than we do. So they have like built-in tiny dynamic microphones on their bodies. Like they're good.
Skip.
Skip.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry for destroying your ears.
You're welcome.
Anyways, okay, moving on really quick. I just read that Bruce Arians has told some people that the earliest expectation for David Johnson to return is Thanksgiving, which is a little ahead of schedule.
Really?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. Okay, so we're looking at
6 weeks, 7 weeks, 6 weeks.
it's about 6 weeks. So I mean, that's about when they said he could come back.
I was hearing he wouldn't come back until week 16 at least.
Really?
Well, no,
wrist?
I guess I was hearing that he wasn't scheduled to come back until maybe. I guess so. Yeah, week 12, week 14, somewhere in there. A lot of people have been saying that it really depends on what their playoff picture looks like, as far as if they're going to contend for a playoff spot. But but honestly, like teams. As long as I've been watching football, I've never seen a losing team intentionally try to just tank.
Except for the Colts.
Sure, the Colts, and even then, I mean, they still won a game that year.
Yeah.
And if they were really trying to tank, they wouldn't have won any games. Teams are always going to try to compete, especially a team like the Cardinals, who are led by a guy like Bruce Arians. He's not just going to give up. He's not going to just tell David Johnson that he's not going to play because he doesn't want to risk him. Arians is going to... I mean, he's looking in the rear view right now at his replacement. And if he doesn't do everything he can to save his job, he's going to be out of there. Especially because they're about to start rebuilding.
Yep.
And if there's a chance that David Johnson can play, he's gonna play. Yeah. They're gonna play him.
Well, especially when you're that good of a player. I mean, when you basically single-handedly carried that offense last year, like
in the first few games of this year, even they were trying to get him to carry that team.
Yeah. So there's no way they're gonna sit him out longer than they have to.
No.
They really need a good player.
And fantasy aside, I am a David Johnson owner, so I've been like stashing him on my bench all year, just like praying that he can come back in time for our fantasy playoffs. But fantasy aside, he is a phenomenal player to watch.
Yeah.
And I really hope that he can come back strong, just because he is such a fun player to watch. And the game is better when David Johnson is playing. It's just a better game. It makes watching the Cardinals actually desirable rather than just cringing every play because Carson Palmer looks like garbage. I mean, I would love to see David Johnson come back and start wrecking the league like he did last year. Man. That'd be good stuff.
Yeah, and every player is going to have their slumps during the year. They're not going to have the best game ever every game, but so long as those slumps are just against the Seahawks, that's fine.
Yeah.
We just need him to not be good against the Seahawks. So
I root for David Johnson 15 weeks out of the season, man. I mean, I
root for him 14 weeks out of the season.
14. Well, I guess whatever. No, I root for him to have a good bye week as well. That's want him to rest up, take a couple ice baths, that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, really, really have your leisurely bye week, David Johnson.
Yeah.
So speaking of being good for the game, I mean that's not really a segue, but moving into just predictions for this next week, talking about the games that are coming up. We have First up, we have Eagles versus Panthers on Thursday, which is tomorrow. So, who do you have for that game?
Ooh, this is actually a tough one because both teams have looked pretty good. I mean, the Panthers have been inconsistent. Their defense has been really good.
Yeah.
And the Eagles look like they're rolling. I mean, they've looked great. The only team they've lost to is the Chiefs, and even that, it wasn't like they got beat down or anything. It was a good game. They played a competitive game, and I mean, I think I'm going to take the Eagles in this one just because I think they've looked a lot more dynamic. They look like they know exactly what they want to do on offense, and the Panthers on offense have kind of just looked like they're doing whatever they can to scrape by. I mean, they really haven't looked... I don't think they've looked... I'm trying to think of the word. They haven't looked... I can't think of the word, man. They just
comfortable?
Yeah, that'd be a good word, sure. Comfortable. They haven't looked very comfortable executing the game plan they have been. They've been really relying on Cam Newton to make it happen.
Yeah, I'm the same thing. I have the Eagles winning this game, and I honestly don't think it's going to be very close, just because the Eagles are coming off of a game where they destroyed a decent Cardinals defense. I mean, it's not what it was a couple years ago, but
no.
Their secondary is still fine, other than Justin Bethel, who's he's terrible. But everything else, they're okay on. And
they're starting Budda Baker as a rookie. So.
Right. So you have to cut them some slack. But, I mean, in general, like, that Eagles team has just been good all year. The Panthers are 4-1, yes, but you look at who the Eagles have played and you look at who the Panthers have played. Eagles are much more proven at this point. The Panthers, I don't think they're comfortable either. I honestly think this game is just going to be the Panthers get beat by probably 2 scores, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be close. I think it could end up being a 1-score game. Just because, yeah, they haven't looked comfortable. The Panthers haven't looked comfortable with their game plan, but they still have that ability to score a lot of points if they start clicking and if they start firing on all cylinders. They can put up a lot of points even against good defenses. So I do have the Eagles winning this one by at least 7 points. But we'll see. You never know.
Yeah, you're right. You can never count the teams out. So we'll see what happens with that one. Next game up is Falcons and Dolphins. I, as a kind of secondary Falcons fan, like I explained in the first one, I always have the Falcons winning. But
they will always win in your heart.
They will always win in my heart. They are 3-1. Okay, it's like everyone was freaking out. Like, Falcons are terrible this year. I'm like, they've lost 1 game. Chill. Like,
well, I think a lot of that criticism has come from Matt Ryan throwing an uncanny amount of interceptions this year.
Yes, but again, look at the first year. I always say this. Look at the first year with Kyle Shanahan. Okay, was a bad year. That was Matt Ryan's worst year. The next year was his best year, okay? Now, Steve Sarkisian is not by any means the guru that Shanahan is. Sarkisian got fired for being a drunk, dude. Like, I don't believe in Sarkisian as much, but I believe in the Falcons enough. And against the Dolphins, like, there's no way they're losing this game. The Dolphins defense is not going to be able to handle the Falcons offense like they did the Matt Castle-led Titans offense. Like, it's just, that's not going to happen. Jay Cutler is going to have the game of his life to keep the Dolphins in this game.
I agree with you. Yeah, I definitely think the Falcons are going to win this game. I don't think the Dolphins stand a chance, to be completely honest.
Yeah, that's just, that one's going to be a wash. Next one is Packers at Vikings, which will be a great game.
Oh yeah. Okay. So Packers and Vikings are playing this week. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good to hear.
I honestly don't know who to pick for that one, just because, I mean, you never want to bet against Aaron Rodgers because he always finds some freaking way to do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Vikings are a good team. And even with Case Keenum at the helm, that Packers defense is bad.
They just lost Kevin King to injury.
Yeah, so, and they already didn't have good corners. So now you're losing Kevin King, and, I mean, it's every year it's the same story with the Packers. They have an okay defense going in, and then injuries happen, and then it's just, please, Aaron Rodgers, carry us to the Super Bowl. And it's like, that you can't do that. Like, you need a defense. Like, Aaron Rodgers can't score on every drive, okay? No quarterback can just score on every drive.
No.
If they could, the record wouldn't be 7 touchdowns in a game. You have to have a defense that can stop a team that isn't Seattle, okay? Like, so,
This is gonna be a good game. I really think that it comes down to how the Vikings offense plays. If Diggs is healthy and they can get Jerick McKinnon going like they did this last game,
yeah.
I think they have a shot to beat the Packers
I do
because
too.
the Packers defense will have a harder time stopping the Vikings offense if they're rolling than the Vikings defense will against the Packers offense. I think that, yes, the Packers offense is great. They have played great so far. But when they play an elite defense like when they played Seattle, the Vikings defense is very comparable to the Seahawks.
Yep.
Their talent levels are pretty similar.
Yep. It's almost identical.
It's almost identical. I think that their linebacking core is a little bit weaker than Seattle.
And it is just a little bit.
And just a little bit.
And it's just because Seattle has such good linebackers. I mean, that's just how it goes.
Well, yeah, I don't know a better linebacker duo in the league than KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner. I mean, the Vikings have a phenomenal defense, and I think that they will limit the opportunities that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense has. I'm going to pick the Packers in this one, honestly. I hate to because I really I am not the biggest Packers fan. I just think I honestly just hate watching them win, and it just drives me nuts. Aaron Rodgers' smug face, but you got to respect them. They're still really good on offense, and I just think that Aaron Rodgers is gonna find a way to win this game.
Yeah, I personally, if Stephon Diggs plays and can be like 90% of what he normally is, I have the Vikings winning. I think without Stephon Diggs, I don't think they're just going to have enough weapons on offense.
No.
Personally.
There's just not a whole lot behind Diggs and Thielen.
Yeah. Really
I don't even know who their third string... Is it Jarius Wright? Is that their third string receiver?
Technically, maybe. I think it's Laquan Treadwell, technically.
I think he's their...
I don't know, dude.
Either way, they don't have a whole lot of weapons behind Diggs and Thielen, who are both really good in their own right, but and they make a great duo together.
Yeah,
but just Thielen, I don't think they're gonna be able to win this game if Diggs can't. I would love to see the Vikings win. I love the Vikings. I think they're great, and I have Stephon Diggs on my fantasy team. I'd love to see him blow up the Packers. It'd make the victory just that much sweeter. But I don't want to root against the Packers. I can't do it.
Yeah, ultimately Packers are probably gonna win, but I think the Vikings have a very realistic shot in this one. Next game is gonna be. I say it now, but it happens every time. It's going to be a shootout with the Lions and Saints. But I swear, every time we say it's going to be a shootout with the Saints, it's not. It's like 17-14. And that's what happens. So, in this one, assuming Matt Stafford plays, okay, because he did have an injury, but he finished the game. So, assuming that Matt Stafford plays, I have the Lions winning this game. I don't know about you, but just the Lions defense is good. It's not great, but it's good.
They played pretty great this year.
They have played good this year. They had a hard time with Carolina last week, but in general, they have played well. And a lot of the Carolina stuff was just matchup issues. Darius Slay couldn't cover a huge guy like Kelvin Benjamin all game, so it happens. So I don't know about you, but I have the Lions in this one.
I just remembered the Lions did just send Haloti Ngata to IR.
Right.
That could be a big subtraction for them from that defense, especially when it comes to getting pressure on Drew Brees, because he will climb the pocket, and if there is no interior pressure, he's gonna be able to step up into the pocket. He's got pretty good tackles. I mean,
he has a great left tackle.
Great left tackle. I don't even know who his right tackle is. I don't really care. They're gonna be okay at the tackle position if the Lions can find a way to get interior pressure against Drew Brees and force him to try to move out of the pocket, then they'll be fine.
I think it's just linebacker pressure is all you do there. Is just send a linebacker or two, see what happens.
Hopefully, we'll see how it goes. I think that this could be a very fun game to watch because, the Lions' defense has looked pretty good there, but Drew Brees doesn't really care how good a defense is. He's gonna do whatever he wants to do every week, and I think the Lions win this one as well. The Saints are they're hard to pick to win any game only because their defense is so poor.
Yeah,
it's just hard to pick them. But I think the Lions will win this game. I think Stafford plays the game and he plays a good one.
Yeah, I agree. Next game, Patriots versus Jets. Moving on to the next game.
They're both 3-2.
They're both 3-2. Listen, they don't have Bilal Powell.
Jets have the same record as the Patriots. Just let that sink in for a second. just let it.
The heralded possible worst team to ever take the field, Jets, in NFL history, are 3-2, just like the Patriots. But I mean, come on. No one's picking the Jets to beat the Patriots.
Whatever, I am.
You can pick that all you want.
Upset City. Here
it's
it
not
comes.
happening.
Buster Skrine picks off Tom Brady twice.
Yeah.
One is returned for a touchdown.
Yeah, and somehow Josh McCown throws it to his receivers that don't really know how to do anything other than Jermaine Kearse.
Dude, I don't know what's up with Jermaine Kearse. It's like he wasn't good in the number 2 spot, but now that he's in the number 1 spot, he's like thriving in it. He's doing all right.
Well, when you have no competition for targets other than a tight end, you'll be okay.
I guess.
All right, next game, Niners and Redskins. You know, I would say if they had Josh Norman, they win by like 20.
They'll only win by like 14 now, though, right?
I mean, there's no one to cover these guys on the Niners. Like the Niners just don't have anyone who can cover anyone. That's their biggest flaw, is they just have no cornerback talent. Their safety talent is and all they have is Navarro Bowman, and he can't cover everyone. Like,
well, Reuben Foster's supposed to come back. He's been practicing this week,
but,
so I mean he's looked pretty good.
But the difference that makes for covering a guy like Terrell Pryor or Jamison Crowder,
He's not going to be covering
exactly.
Either of those guys.
So who's going to cover him?
I'm sure they've got a warm body somewhere.
Yeah,
it's not like Terrell Pryor has been like amazing or anything this year.
Well, but he's starting to get that chemistry with.
I hope
Kirk
so.
Cousins. I do too.
I'd love to see them both go to the 49ers next year. I think it'd be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
And it'd be great.
So I mean, yeah, we both have the
I'm
Redskins
picking
in
the
this
Redskins,
one.
so yeah.
It's not really anything.
I gotta hope my boy Chris Thompson breaks out for another couple touchdowns. That'd be awesome.
So next game, Bears versus Ravens. I'm predicting 100 total yards in this game from both teams combined. I mean, realistically, there's going to be more yards than that. But come on,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I wouldn't want to watch this game at all. I feel like this game is going to come down to, it's going to be like 14-6. Probably Ravens, because Joe Flacco got a couple long passes to Jeremy Maclin and Mike Wallace and happened to get himself in a scoring position and dumped it off to Buck Allen. I just don't see this game being entertaining at all.
No, I hear you. This is gonna be one of those games that I watch a couple minutes of the highlight video that they put out on the NFL YouTube channel. I'm guessing the YouTube channel goes no longer than 5 minutes. That's basically how I quantify how good a game is.
Yeah.
If the highlight video is between 7 and 8 minutes, I'm like, okay, it was probably a good game. The Packers Cowboys game this last week was 12 minutes. I was like, oh, that must have been pretty crazy. Yeah. And then it's not going to be a good game. Although I am going to pick the Bears.
Okay, I'm gonna pick the Ravens, but I don't care who wins.
Yeah, I don't really care who wins either. But I would like to see the Bears run the football really well against a Ravens team that is probably going to struggle on offense and struggle to keep their defense off the field.
Yeah, it could go either way, but I'll pick the Ravens. Moving to the Browns versus Texans.
Ooh, tough one.
Yeah, listen, if the Texans didn't just sustain major defensive injuries, I would say, okay, this game is absolutely 100% in the bag. There's no way possible that the Browns could do it. But you can't count teams out 100%. So I have the Texans winning by probably 2 scores. If Kaiser starts, possibly 3. Starting. Well, I'm just saying.
They have Hogan listed right now as the starter.
With Kaiser playing at all, probably 3, because he'll throw a couple interceptions. But with Hogan playing, they'll be more conservative, kind of dink and dunk kind of stuff. So I don't know. I have the Texans winning because Deshaun Watson should do fine against that defense that Cleveland has.
Can the 2016 Clemson Tigers beat the Cleveland Browns? We'll find out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think we both have the Texans in this one because we don't bet for the Browns. So next game.
Hopkins and Fuller to have ridiculous games this week. I think they're going to both just be awesome. I'd start both of them in any league I had.
Yeah, I probably would too. Next game, Bucks and Cardinals.
Another game I don't want to watch.
I don't want to watch it either. If you told me this game was happening week 1 with all the hype that the Buccaneers had, I'd say, okay, I'd probably want to watch this game. In our current state in the NFL, no, I don't want to watch. The Bucks are not doing well at all on anything. That everyone's falling apart and getting mad at each other, and Mike Evans is throwing fits over not getting the ball, and
so is Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, and it's like
if there's anything I would tell you to watch in this game, it would just be the running games. From a fantasy perspective, Doug Martin came back last week and averaged, I think, over 6 yards a carry.
Yeah,
he only got 7 carries.
Yeah.
That bodes well. I think they just had him on a snap count because it was his first game back, and they didn't want to.
They were behind most of the game.
Yeah, and they didn't want to really thrust him into 20 carries in his first game back. And then on the but I think he should play pretty well against a vulnerable defense for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And then also to see what Adrian Peterson is able to do. He's only going to get a week to work with the team, so I don't expect him to be heavily featured
No.
This week, but it would be nice to see them attempt to get him some carries, more than maybe. Hopefully, they can get him at least 10 carries. I would like to see that. Just even if it's some basic inside plays or just try to get him going a little bit. I would like to see how they use him.
Yeah, I wouldn't start Adrian Peterson this week, as tempted as you are, because ESPN will put, like, projecting 8 points, and it's like, whoa, he might get me 8 points. I wouldn't start him this week.
Unless you're really desperate.
Yeah, unless 7 of your people are on bye weeks this week.
Yeah.
Like,
unless you're going through bye week nightmare.
Yeah.
He definitely just wait to see what he does this week. I would rather see him on my bench with a big score this week and then feel better about starting him next week. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the Cardinals in this one.
Oh man, this week we're disagreeing. I think it's the Bucks.
Yeah, it could go either way. The Bucks don't have a very good defense, so.
Yeah, they don't have a very good defense, but I think their offense is a lot better than the Cardinals is.
Depending on which Jameis Winston you get.
I suppose.
Either way, it's kind of like whatever with that one. Next game, and one that I think is going to be really interesting, is the Rams and Jaguars. Just because the Rams have been pretty good, other than specifically Jared Goff has been good other than last week against Seattle. And the Jaguars don't have Earl Thomas, so he can sleep well at night knowing that Earl Thomas won't be back there. But at the same time, the Jaguars are the number one defense against the pass right now. The big thing there is that the Jaguars are, I think, in like the mid-20s against the run. So a team like the Rams that runs the ball a lot with Todd Gurley should be able to find some success in this game. The question is just going to be whether or not Jared Goff can keep the defense honest and force them to not just stack the box against Todd Gurley.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Earl Thomas had nothing but great things to say about Jared Goff after the game. He said he's much improved from last year. And I think that the Seattle game was a really good trial for Sean McVay, who hadn't really faced any great competition up to that point of the season. So it was good it's good to get those kinds of losses here and there. To get a loss that really humbles you, shows you, okay, my offense isn't perfect. I'm not going to be able to score 30 points a game every week. It's good to have that. The Jags have a good defense, not as great as Seattle, at least not as talented.
All around, yeah.
Not as all-around talented, but they have been playing really well. So hopefully Sean McVay can learn from some of the lessons he learned last week against Seattle and look to capitalize against the Jags this week. I don't know who to pick this week because the Jags offense is completely dependent on Leonard Fournette, who has been amazing.
Yeah.
He has been great. But Blake Bortles has been anything but great. And with the injuries that they've sustained to their receivers, they just don't have a whole lot of playmaking ability through the air. If they can stop the run, or if the Rams can stop the run against the Jags. Wait, did I say that backwards? If the Jags can stop, no, I did say it right. If the Rams can stop the Jags against the run, they'll be fine.
If the Rams can stop
the
Jags against the run.
Oh man, just cut that off.
No, we're leaving that in.
Man, no, don't leave it in. Jesus Christ. Okay.
So you're saying if the Rams can stop the run from the Jags,
yes, they'll be able to win this game. But I mean, the same could be said about the other way around.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
But the Rams just have a much better passing attack than the Jags do. So
yeah, most teams do.
Most teams do. Yeah.
Jags and maybe the Ravens are, comparable there.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's move on so I can
move
stop.
on. I'm gonna take the Rams in this one. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I take the Rams as well.
So moving to one that should be interesting is Steelers and Chiefs. I see the Chiefs winning because I don't want to bet against the Chiefs at all at this point. But the Steelers, I mean, it's hard to bet against the Steelers because just for the longest time it's been, dude, they have Ben Roethlisberger. Like he's a gunslinger. He'll be Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. But like, I mean, we've seen many times this team full of firepower not get it done. And with the way the Chiefs are playing right now, like, who's going to cover Travis Kelce? Like, Tyreek Hill, they'll find a way to cover. Their corners are okay. But nobody on that Steelers team is going to cover Travis Kelce. Like, you have a bunch of pass rushers as your linebackers, and your corners are not going to cover Travis Kelce. And then Kareem Hunt, who's gonna stop Kareem Hunt? I mean, it's just that Steelers team does not have enough defensive talent right now to stop the Chiefs' offense. That you never know who's going to break out a big play.
I don't think that Kelce is going to be as big of a deal as you think. I think that they'll probably have Shazier cover him more often than not, only because Shazier is probably the only guy on that front seven who matches with Kelce athletically. He's a very fast linebacker.
Very fast.
He's one of the fastest linebackers in the league. And I think that the front seven will limit Kelce's opportunities. It's honestly their secondary that's a little suspect, if anything. Yeah, they're young enough and fast enough to keep up with Tyreek Hill, but I think that Andy Reid will find a way to mismatch or to exploit mismatches between the secondary and his receivers. I mean, who knows? We could see Chris Conley go off for an amazing game this week just because he's been relatively quiet all year. He hasn't really done a whole lot, and I mean, this could be a breakout game for him, or at least a out of the ordinary game for him, where he puts up good numbers because they're so keyed in on everyone else on this. The other three playmakers on this team. And it's getting late. I worked like 3 a.m. to 11:30 this morning and took a nap, and I was good. But now I'm like starting to.
Yep, and I haven't eaten in like 9 hours.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Isaiah. I picked the Chiefs easily.
Yeah.
If the Steelers were smart, they'd call up Michael Vick and see what he's doing and maybe get him to come back and
call up Michael Vick.
That playmaking ability, though.
Yeah.
He looked great in the flag football game.
Yeah. Oh, flag football. Yeah.
He looked really good.
Threw like 7 touchdowns against literally nobody.
He did.
Anyways,
set the record for that league.
Couple games left here. Chargers and Raiders. With Derek Carr playing, the Raiders. Without Derek Carr playing, I say Chargers.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Chargers, not because of, where they're located or anything like that. I've always liked Philip Rivers. I've always been kind of partial to him. I think that if he had played for probably any other team save the Browns, he would have been able to win a championship. But only the Chargers could go 14-2 with Philip Rivers and LaDainian Tomlinson and not win the Super Bowl or even make it to the Super Bowl. The Chargers are entirely just cursed. Their franchise will be cursed as long as Dean Spanos is their owner, and they're going to have a terrible year this year as well, especially since they moved to LA, which is the dumbest thing that's happened in NFL history, I swear to God.
Yeah, every game is a road game for them, so
yeah. I picked the Raider, or I'm sorry, I picked the Raiders if Carr is playing. If he's not, it'll be closer. And I would like to see the Chargers win for Philip Rivers' sake. Um, but yeah, this game will be. It could be a fun game to watch, or it could be just terrible. It could just be turnover after turnover after turnover, or it could be a high scoring game. You never know at this point.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I'll pick the Chargers. Whatever.
Yeah. Yay, Chargers.
Go Charge, go.
Giants and Broncos. Broncos.
Broncos.
There's
yeah.
no discussion here.
There is CJ Anderson. I just hope he runs all over. That'd be great. Just for my own fantasy team.
Yeah, I honestly, I'd love Demaryius Thomas to go off for my fantasy team, but whatever. Broncos are gonna win. Giants are not winning this game.
I would start any skill position player you have for the Broncos. I would start them this week. I don't think that
especially running backs.
They are not. The Giants have a good defense on paper, but just like any team, if the offense can't stay on the field and the defense has to be out there for 40 minutes a game, they're not going to look good. And I would start every Bronco that you have.
Yep. And last game of the week, Colts versus Titans. Assuming that Mariota plays, Titans easily. If Mariota does not play...
If Mariota doesn't play, I don't think they win.
Yeah, it would really depend on if they can get the run game going. If they can't get a run game going, Colts are winning that game.
I don't think they can get a run game going when Matt Castle is your quarterback because he's just not good. And it's been completely obvious the last 2 weeks. Watching him play has been really sad to watch because, this Titans team has a lot of potential, especially when Mariota is healthy and if Corey Davis, I think he's still out right now, isn't he?
I think so.
If both of them were healthy, they would be. That Titans team is really fun to watch. They're a fundamental football team. They're going to run the ball and throw when they have the opportunity. They've tried to build their team a lot like Seattle, at least on offense, or at least that kind of run it until they're up in your grill. And
they're Seattle with an offensive line, essentially.
Oh man, I can't even imagine Russell Wilson behind that Titans O line. Yeah, I'm gonna pick the Titans if Mariota is playing, which everything sounds like and is pointing to Mariota playing. So
yeah,
I'll take them. Colts. I think they're gonna make it more competitive than you might think, but I don't think it'll be an easy victory for the Titans, regardless if Mariota plays. But I think that they're still going to win. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't trust the Colts defense at all. It's just there's no way. Just looking at what Seattle did to them, I'm just like
they mostly did that on excuse you. Sorry. Jesus Christ. They anyways. Look at that spike. Oh, it just went away. Never mind.
I'm holding it in.
Yeah, no, the Colts are trash nasty. They're really
trash nasty. Yeah. Well,
is that it? Is that all the games?
Those are all the games this week.
All right. Yeah, all that stellar analysis we just had. That was amazing. I bet you all feel so much smarter about football now.
Well, yeah. There's some games that you don't want to do analysis for because it's like, what are you going to say? Like Giants and Broncos, there's no reason why the Broncos should lose that game.
No.
So what are you going to say? Well, I really think... people on TV they kind of have to say, just to keep things interesting, they have to be like, Eli Manning could go off for 1 million touchdowns.
He's a 2-time Super Bowl
MVP. They find Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, they always find something positive to say about everyone, even if that team is a complete garbage mess. So... We
trash nasty.
Trash nasty. But we are not the Sunday Night Football people. We are not anything like that. We are just a freaking podcast in my bedroom. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, well, maybe start Sterling Shepard because he's the only receiver that really is worth anything. No, or he's going to be completely destroyed by Chris Harris Jr. all game, and Aqib Talib is going to be having a freaking vacation on the sideline because he doesn't feel like playing. That's where we're at with this.
What's funny is, you just said that, some games we don't even need to do analysis, and then you just broke down that game anyways.
Well, I mean, I can give you analysis, but it's all stuff you already know.
Yeah, or at least stuff that you should know.
Yeah, just come on. You can figure out games like that, so.
Well, so now that we're done talking about football, is there anything going on in your life that you're excited about, or anything going on that you're looking forward to, or...
Oh.
Might as well.
Yeah, why not make the podcast go longer?
Just a couple minutes. What are you doing, man? Okay, here, I'll start. I just applied for school the other day. I applied for my FAFSA because I'm super broke and I don't make any money. And they told me I'll probably qualify for financial aid, so I'll be going to school soon. I'm really excited to do that. And I will hopefully get started on a career path. Oh, and my work is gonna. So I work for Safeway in the meat department, and they're gonna make me an apprentice cutter. So I'll make some good money through that. So I'm excited. I've got a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, you got cool stuff going on. I have the same crap that I've been doing. I mean, I switched jobs where I do work. I switched jobs within the district, but yeah.
District 11?
No.
Or District 12?
No, none of those.
What about District 13?
Yeah, I can't whistle. Oh, yeah. No, I switched positions. I'm in a way better position now. Better everything. But I mean, in general, it's nothing crazy in my life. I go to school too. I don't get financial aid because financial aid doesn't like me apparently. But nonetheless, I'm in my second year of school right now, of college. I took a year off after graduating because I didn't even know if I wanted to go to college after graduating high school, and then realized that working at Olive Garden sucked super hard, and I was like, nope, I'm going to college. I don't want to do this at all ever again. So,
right.
Yeah. So other than that, nothing crazy going on.
Well, yeah, you're starting a new position though. That's cool. I mean, something that you would rather be doing. Okay, how about this? Describe your job in the worst way possible.
Okay, so that's all just getting cut out. So thanks for watching the Philbrook football podcast this week. A little bit more
we need to cut this out too. You just said watch. Thanks for watching the football.
Well, they're technically watching.
They're technically listening.
Okay, but it says watch on YouTube.
No, whatever.
Okay. Whatever!
Yeah, so that's all the games that we have this week. Hopefully the analysis that we had kind of gives you an idea of maybe who you'd want to start for your fantasy team, or maybe some outlook on different teams and what their trending is. If you like listening to this, hit the subscribe button and look for future content to come out. We're hoping to make this a weekly thing. Last week, we had some technical difficulties.
I spilled water all over my computer, so
yeah,
couldn't really use it.
So we weren't able to record last week, but we're going to attempt to make this a weekly thing. So look for some more content. Look for even maybe some individual content from both of us. If there's any developments around the league.
Probably more Cameron.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have more time to do this.
I don't really have as much time for that, but if I have some burning desire, I'll be like, hey, dude, Terrell Owens is coming back to the Cowboys.
Right. If Terrell Owens comes back to the Cowboys, I will dress myself as Skip Bayless and make a video and try to personify him to the T. And I only say this because I know Terrell Owens will not come back to the Cowboys. Anyways, you guys all have a good week. I wish you all the best, all you fantasy football players. I wish you the best this week, except Ricky. I hope that you have another bad week because I'm playing against you this week, man. So that's all for us. We'll see you next week, probably around the same time, and go Seahawks.
Yep, go Seahawks. Thanks for watching the Philbrook Football Podcast.